place. Felix Sorales 13th, 13 Westec. Mitchell Gilbert 14th on the grid in the number 9 car. Mitchell Gilbert was on for a points finish for most of race 2 of the weekend, but fell back late on. You can see the rest of the grid there. 27 cars. Hector Hurst, his first season in this championship, still learning the car, and in some cases learning the circuits. And Hector Hurst, the British driver, will be at the back of the grid. This will be the last race that Tatiana Calderon has to start near the back of the grid, because she's been getting a 10-place grid penalty for changing engines as well. If you do that, you, for 3 races after that, have to drop 10 places on the grid. There's the circuit map here at Hockenheim. The race distance will be 100 kilometres, a 35-minute race, 22 laps that should equate to. Very warm conditions now here at Hockenheim. Certainly much warmer than the first race of the weekend for the Formula 3s yesterday. And are we going to have another different winner in the FIA Formula 3 European Championship? The wins so far this season for Tom Blomqvist, then Esteban Ocon, then Antonio Fuoco at Silverstone, for Lucas Auer yesterday. And as I said, Ocon, the French driver, the first driver of the entire season to get 2 race wins. A double winner now, wins race 5. But there's Verstappen. We never got the chance to see what he could do from pole position. He's sort of inherited pole, as I said, but still, to be second quickest in qualifying, very impressive performance indeed. So once again, rookies filling the front row of the grid. Verstappen and Ocon on the front row, looking focused now, waiting for the tail enders to make their way onto the grid. There to the left of the picture is Hector Hurst, last man on the grid. And these 2-litre, 240 brake horsepower Formula 3 cars will very shortly be bursting into life here at Hockenheim. The green flag is waved at the back of the grid. Verstappen to the right of your picture, Ocon to the left. And then we have Giovinazzi in the yellow car, third on the grid as the race gets underway. They all look to make good starts. Antonio Fuoco looks like he got off the line well. Verstappen's going to lead. Ocon is going to be second. And good start for Felix Rosenqvist, who I think has slotted into 3rd place here. Yes, he has. So the one that's gone back a little down to 4th place is Giovinazzi. Rosenqvist on the up here, getting better and better. Fuoco settles in behind in 5th place. Then from the distance, I think it's Jones in 6th. There's contact further back down the field as 2 come to grief on the way through turn 2. Out through the parabolica they now come. There's Gustavo Menezes and Felipe Gomares in the middle of the pack. There's Max Verstappen into the hairpin for the first time as the race leader. And under braking, Ocon coming under more and more pressure from Felix Rosenqvist here. 2nd and 3rd they are. Then it's Giovinazzi, the Italian, in 4th. More running wide, more bits of bodywork being left behind at the hairpin, but everybody still going just about. Somebody going slowly though, as yes, we've got a car, might be a blue Carling car. Just got a snatch of it in the back of the shot, but one going very slowly at the back of the field. And I don't think we're going to have all 27 cars completing the first lap of the race without visiting the pits. A good start for Rosenqvist. There's Lucas Auer trying to get onto the tail of Ed Jones, taking Jake Dennis with him as those 2 go through into the complex now. And look at Lucas Auer, yesterday's race winner in the orange number 3 car, the Muka Motorsport machine, pushing on very hard now. Mercedes-Benz powered car, that getting onto the tail of Ed Jones in the Volkswagen powered Carlin. And it's John Bryant Meister with a flapping front wing that's heading into the pits. So the Swede diving into the pits. That was the car, that blue car that I saw going very slowly. The 2 abreast on a couple of occasions here in the middle of the pack. Dennis van der Laar picking up a place. Yes, and a big nerf that, hasn't it, at the front. I suspect down at the hairpin. Well, actually, there were 1 or 2 coming to grief on the 2nd corner as well, so maybe he was one of them. Oh, Tom Blomqvist coming into the pits as well. So Tom Blomqvist in dramas on the first lap, and that's Felix Sorales, the other one coming in. So a couple of front runners here in early strife. He's missing his front nose, Sorales. Couldn't see any real obvious damage to Blomqvist's car. And meanwhile, Fuoco has got ahead of Giovinazzi. Auer has got ahead of Jones. And then it's Dennis through next. So it's been all changed while we've been looking at those pit visitors. Verstappen, Ocon and Rosenqvist, the top 3. Then Fuoco up to 4th, Giovinazzi down to 5th, Auer up to 6th, Jones down to 7th, Dennis is 8th. Sean Galal the Indonesian driver, is in the top 10, looking for his first points of the season. He's in 9th place. He's had a really good start there, Sean Galal. And did he manage to get up there from 17th on the grid? Latifi is next through in 10th. Then Gilbert 11th. Jordan King's made another good start to the race. He's gone from 19th up to 12th position as Jake Dennis now tries to hunt down Ed Jones. So at the moment, rookies first and second. And then Jake Dennis, the third best of the rookies, is running in 8th position. I haven't seen whether Blomqvist has been able to get back out of the pits. That looks like Guimara is running very wide, coming out onto the straight on the exit to the Sud curve. Gets away with it just about. And we've got a 1.1 second advantage already for Verstappen. And here's a replay of, running through the gravel. Oh, it's Menezes actually. Menezes, who was just behind Guimaraes at the time, running through the gravel, coming out through the Sud curve. And as a result of that, he loses a place to Riccardo Agostini. So Max Verstappen leads the race. Car seemingly now sorted. Ocon is second, Ross and Quest in third. Fuoco and Giovinazzi switched around, as I said. I've got Dennis van der Laar having a lunge up the inside there to try and gain a place, but it didn't quite work out for him at the hairpin. John Bryant Meissner's gone back out. We're going to get a replay of the start. Now we're going to get a replay of some of the incidents on that first lap there. And that was lunging up the inside, Spike Goddard. He's been involved in a couple of tangles already this season. Didn't quite pay off. And that was what happened to Sorales, and he went into Meissner. And Sorales is out, actually. So we saw him coming into the pit lane, but they haven't sent him back out. The entire nose of the car rips off. And Blomqvist was the other one that somewhere on that first lap got tangled up and got sent to the pits. The safety car coming out. And joining me in the box is Dave Richardson, and it's been a very, very lively start to the race in Formula 3 once again.
Yes, you've had a lively start then, so safety car going to pick the cars up, and, well, it would appear then that Verstappen might at last have the opportunity to enjoy some time here at Hockenheim, because certainly up until now not had the best time of it at all. The safety car picks up the cars then as they're on their way around this 4.5 kilometre Hockenheim circuit. And Verstappen, Ocon, some hasty repair work going on there, Chris. Yep, and
we've seen the matting there, because a lot of the cars in all of the races this weekend have been running wide and ripping that up. We saw in the DTM race, Eduardo Matara ripping a bit of that matting up. I don't think this is the reason for the safety car. I think it's bits of bodywork everywhere. So, Verstappen, Ocon, Rosenqvist, the top three. Rosenqvist looking for his first podium of the season. Fuoco got past Giovinazzi early on for fourth. Auer is in sixth place, having got past Jones while we were looking at those drivers coming into the pits. Then Dennis eighth. Jean Galal having this excellent start to the race in 9th, Latifi 10th, Mitch Gilbert in 11th in the Fortec car, Jordan King up to 12th from 19th on the grid, Guimaraes 13th, Agostini up to 14th after Menezes went through the gravel at Sudcurva, so he's down to 15th. Tatiana Calderon, who's been making good early progress in a lot of the races in the first 2 or 3 laps, she's done likewise. She's up to what has come 16th place from last but one on the grid. Roy Nazani 17th, Sandro Zella 18th, Toril is 19th, and then rounding out the top 20, Beretta, Hurst 21st, Goddard 22nd, Kowiak, who was on the rookie podium earlier on, struggled down in 23rd position. And then down in 24th place, Dennis van der Laar has also dropped a long way down the order. And we've had those drivers coming in the pits. Looks like they're getting ready for the restart. And Max Verstappen is bumping them back together because he's not got any car racing experience coming into this season, but he's used to rolling starts from his karting days. So he'll be well used to this from his days in the European and the World Karting Championships and the Belgian Karting Championships. And he's controlling the pace. Why, he's head on young shoulders here. Hard to believe, Dave, he's just 16 years of age.
Yes.
I think he's nailed that, hasn't he? He's benched them all up, and he's got himself a 3-car length advantage coming onto the restart here as The third race of the weekend, the sixth race of the season, gets back underway. He's half a second clear of Ocon. Look, by the time they get across the start-finish line, further back, Ed Jones coming under attack here from Jake Dennis as they come through the Nord Curve for the first time. And Jake Dennis pulls out of the slipstream. There you can see the background, the red and white car. The man with the yellow helmet having a go here around the outside through turn 2. Jake Dennis has done it. Terrific move that from Jake to get up to 7th place. Bit of a gap to bridge now to get up to Lucas Auer, but Jake Dennis going well here. Ed Jones, though, is the one that's going to pick up the toe now, Dave, down towards the hairpin.
Yeah, so can see that, and what a perfect execution of a move that was. And look at this now from Jones as they head in towards the hairpin here at Hockenheim.
Yeah, tried it around the outside, but Dennis was having absolutely none of it. There's Jordan King getting in the mix, trying to get himself up into the points again in the number 5 Carl in the blue car. And he's got the inside line here, and he's going to get past Latifi. And we saw in the race earlier on that Latifi's not the easiest man in the world to overtake. And also pretty good at going through himself. Sean Galal running wide there then. So he's starting to drop back into the pack a bit now. Latifi onto his tail. There's Galal, the Indonesian driver. In the Jagonya I Am Carling car, the number 20 car. A yellow and red machine. And that's Roy Sani running wide, but recovering very quickly in the Muka Motorsport car. A bit too keen there and got the apex all wrong and just understeered wide into the gravel, but he was able to rescue it and got back going again pretty quickly. So Verstappen 7/10 of a second back in the lead, Ocon second, and then Rosenqvist a much happier, brighter third place for the Swede here, Dave.
Yes, very much so, and we found out earlier on that they were going to send that car more towards a different setup, weren't they? And that seems to be working as we get a replay of the start here.
Yeah, really good start for Verstappen from pole position. He kept that up absolutely spot on. And the usual parade of cars running wide in the middle of the field through the Nord Curve. In fact, all of the top 4 made good starts. Felix Rosenqvist got straight up to third. The most sluggish start was Giovinazzi, who lost that place then, got bumped out wide by Fuoco. He actually got back ahead of him on the way out of that corner, and then on lap 2, Fuoco got the place back. There's Sean Galal running wide. No wonder the matting's been ruined here this weekend when they keep running that wide. Rip it up, take it away. The AstroTurf is being mullered here at Hockenheim. And this is a replay of the restart after the safety car period. And Verstappen hooked it up in the background there. You can see the blue car, the orange helmet of Ed Jones. He came under immediate pressure from Jake Dennis there, who got him one corner later. Oh, and now this is a replay of that number 14, number 14 Guimarães having a spin and maybe being helped along the way there.
Well, that's it for Guimarães, isn't it?
Stalled it, yeah. Maybe a bit of damage to the back of the car as well. No, Felix Rosenqvist out. And that looks, the way he's parked up there, as if the car's just stopped, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He goes wide here. Was he just getting off the track? I think he's just getting off the track because he knows the car's got a problem. Just when it was beginning to look like he could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Ah, yes. Now, I did think that he'd been helped along the way in that incident. And the man behind him was Latifi, who's damaged that front wing. So Latifi had a good race earlier on today. He's not going to get any points in this one as they have to change the nose on that car as well.
So it's been a torrid opening campaign for Felix Rosenqvist, hasn't it, across the 2 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that if you have a slow start in this championship, it's such a long championship, 30 races, there's still plenty of time to catch up, isn't there? But you do want to hit the ground running from a confidence point of view. I mean, the most positive thing is they do seem to be working out the car now, and it's been certainly a much more strong performance from the team and from the drivers, and they got the win yesterday with Lucas Auer and Muka Motorsport. Such an experienced and successful team. They'll be back. This man's driving well. Sean Galal started his car racing career in China in Formula Pelota. Got on his tail though Mitch Gilbert, the Australian. So
the Jagonya I Am is a livery we see on an awful lot of these cars in the FIA F3 European Championship this season, and both of those two with that logo on. Verstappen leading from Ocon. Fuoco then having a better time of it. Giovinazzi P4, our P5.
That's right. So now we've got these two together. This is interesting because Jordan King and Ed Brand in the third race at Silverstone. We never saw the incident, but we did see the remnants of it. They came together when they were both looking like they were probably going to finish in the top 5 or 6. So hopefully, they're both very experienced drivers, both champions as well, of course, in different categories last year. But Jones just doesn't quite seem to have the pace that he's had this weekend so far. He's been on the podium twice this weekend, the only driver to achieve that, but he's struggling for pace a bit here in 7th. Jordan King from 19th on the grid. There he is in 8th place, looking much the quicker of the two here. Identical Carling cars, both powered by the same 2-litre VW engine. So these two running in 7th and 8th position. Sean Galal in 9th still. Mitch Gilbert in the final points paying position in 10th. And then about 1.5 seconds behind them in 11th place is Agostini. We'll be looking for his first points of the year if he possibly can do it. There he is in the black car, the yellow trim on the front. So,
as you say, two absolutely identical cars there, damn near, aren't they? And
Galar going well, 17 years old from Jakarta, although he lives in Bath most of the time these days in the West Country in England. Formula Pelota 2 years ago when he finished in 4th place. Karting pedigree, multiple Asian and Indonesian champion before that. European Formula 3 Championships with the Double R Racing team last season, but he didn't score any points. Also racing the British Formula 3 Championship, got on the podium at Silverstone there. Got a record as the youngest ever F3 driver on a podium. He was 16 years old, 6 months and 25 days old at the time. But he's had a struggle so far this season. He's had some entertainment. He hasn't qualified well, that's been his problem, but he has been good at overtaking. And he, at Silverstone, certainly pulled off some good moves, that's for sure, even though he wasn't going for points. But Galal having a much stronger race here as he settles into these cars and gets to learn them. It's a big step forward, Dave, to come into these cars, isn't it? And expect it to be quick straight away. And we've kind of been sport by the likes of Ocon and Verstappen who've been able to do it.
Yes, you're absolutely right, we are. As we see more action and some very wide running there over the...
what's left of the matting.
I was going to say that Spike launching there. So he takes the curbs to get back out onto the track once again.
And they have to be careful not to do that too often because these notes are coming up on the screen saying car such and such failed to respect track limits, and they can get penalised for this. And we have seen grid penalties being issued on a number of occasions so far, which will affect your next qualifying position as well for your next round.
Well, in the previous DTM race, the car of Tom Bay, he had to slow down and lose 2 seconds for running wide.
Right.
Which affected his chase to the eventual victor. But there we are. We're talking about the FIA F3 Championship, which Verstappen is leading now 9/10 over Ocon, and Fuoco then a further 6/10 back.
Yeah, similar lap times between the top 4 really. Verstappen 1:33.67 and 1:33.8 for Ocon in second. 1:33.6, slightly the quicker of the three for Fuoco in third. Then Giovinazzi in fourth at 1:33.8, 1:33.7s for Dennis in 6th place. Jones in 7th and King in 8th place as well. So they're all within a 10th or so of each other. Lucas Auer in the mix as well there in 5th place on that kind of lap time. There's Fuoco. Finally, it seems having a good race. And there's the fan club.
There's his support base, yes.
I don't know if that's friends and family or he's just got a huge following already, but they've followed him to Silverstone. They've followed him to Hockenheim.
You said they were Silverstone.
Yeah, a popular man.
So confirmation on your screen then, Verstappen, Ocon, Fuoco, the car we're watching right now. Then it's Giovinazzi, Auer, Dennis, Jones and King occupying the top 8 positions in the race so far. Galil and Gilbert. And as you've said, Galil having a good time of it, isn't he?
Yeah.
A little way back from King, isn't he?
Fastest first sector of the race at the start of this lap for the man in third, Antonio Fuoco, as back into the pits comes John Bright Meissner. Swede, he's got the new nose on the car now, but maybe there's something else wrong, or is it a drive-through? Looks like a drive-through almost, doesn't it?
Yes, it is a drive-through.
For causing a collision.
So Bright Meisner obviously in contact with another car and serves a drive-through penalty.
It's from the start of the race. The incident's obviously been investigated now. There's Jones, there's King. These two battling for 7th and 8th positions respectively. Jordan King's got a knack this season of just getting the points in when you don't really expect him to. As we look at a change of position here, that's Gilbert. He's got ahead of Galal now, so that's a switch around for 9th and 10th position. So Mitch Gilbert having, again, somebody else who struggled a bit at Silverstone, but he's having a much stronger run here in Germany. And that's to be expected, really, as you get used to the team, the car,
yes,
get a better feel for it. Sean Galal in 10th then, the final man in the points, looking for his first points within a European Championship, if he can do it. He said he got on the podium in British F3, but at this level, he's yet to get a point.
Replay of where he did it.
Tidy move that, actually, wasn't it? Very neat and tidy. Galal gave him the room. Would have been started that on the exit to the previous corner, but nice move from Mitchell Gilbert, the 19-year-old. He was actually born in Kuala Lumpur. He's Australian, but he was born in Malaysia, raced in the ATS F3 Cup 2 years ago. So we'll have some experience of the Hockenheim circuit, which may be helping him this weekend. Ed Jones then. So many people flying past Ed Jones, do you? We saw him under pressure in the latter stages of the race earlier on today, and he just kept cool and kept on banging quit lap times, but Jordan King closer than he's ever been through that turn, wasn't he, to his teammate.
Just at the back of that shot, you can see what Gilbert has been able to pull out from that move already.
That's right.
Clearly quicker there. So these two then, Jones and King.
And now car number 9, cars number 6 and 9 are both going to get drive-through penalties. 6 is Ed Jones for failing to manage track limits. There you go, at turn 1. He keeps going off at turn 1. And Ed Jones is going to be asked to come into the pits to serve a drive-through. And car number 9, a drive-through penalty as well, which is Mitchell Gilbert, having just got into that 9th place. He's just seen both of them there on screen.
Well, and Jones dives in, made a very late decision to go in to serve his drive-through penalty.
They're both for track limits, Jones and Gilbert for exceeding the track limits. Frustrating. But in a way, I'm sort of surprised I haven't seen more of this weekend with the amount. What was it we said on Friday? 35 laps have been taken away from drivers in F3 for exceeding the track limits. And I think they've been relatively lenient with them in, if anything, they've given them grid place penalties, but they haven't been sending them through the pits, have they, until this race? I think they've had enough now.
Yes, I think you're right. I think they're ruling with the rod of iron now, aren't they?
So that puts Jordan King up to 7th. It puts, for a fraction of the race, up to 8th place Mitch Gilbert, but he's got to come in and serve a penalty as well. So actually Sean Galal's going to end up moving up to 8th place.
Yeah.
And then Agostini's going to get into the points as well. And Roy Nassani's not far away from the points either in the number 4 machine, as he seeks to get his first points of the season for Mooka Motorsport. They'd be well pleased if they could get him in the points, I think. There's the man who leads the race, though. Just over the last couple of laps, he's just ever so slightly eked out an advantage from 9/10 up to 1.2 seconds over that man, number 2, Esteban Ocon, who's having to work really hard here to keep Antonio Fuoco behind him.
Yes, Fuoco quicker last time around.
On 32.994, the fastest lap of the race for Fuoco. There's confirmation of that drive-through penalty, and in comes Mitch Gilbert. So that's ruined what was otherwise going to be a good race for him. And it won't.
That's
this
where
is why,
it was.
isn't it?
Yeah.
The thing is, the bill for the AstroTurf has gone right through the roof now, and they've had enough of it. So we've seen it a lot, haven't we?
Well, to be fair, I was going to say to you, they can't say that they've not been aware of it, because there's been lots of...
And it won't be for doing it once, it will be for doing it on a number of occasions and for having a number of warnings. And guess what? There are some more on the way in. They are getting strict now. And Michele Beretta, for the second time this weekend, is going to be penalised. This time he's going to get a he's got a black and white flag, so he's on a warning, and a black and white flag as well for number 18, Tatiana Calderon. So both of those are on yellow cards, effectively. If they do it again, they'll be coming into the pit soon. So there's a battle for second and third positions. Both of them race winners. Giovinazzi a long way back now in fourth to follow on from his second place finish of earlier on. He's about second clear of Lucas Auer, who's in fifth place. Jake Dennis is a further second back in sixth position, and they're all lapping within a tenth of a second of each other, those.
So Jones filtered back in, where are we, P18, and Alexander Toril going to get a drive-through penalty. And also going to get a drive-through penalty is Michaela Beretta.
Yeah, it was coming, wasn't it? So 2 more for, guess what, exceeding track limits. It's becoming a real issue, isn't it? And across the world,
yes,
they're really clamped down on it this year. All sorts of, even illustrated instructions being sent out. I mean, I've got one with my race licence, illustrations of what you can and can't do with a big tick and a big cross
acceptable,
next to it.
not acceptable.
So they all know the rules. They all know the rules. The drivers try and push it to the limits.
And that's what did it for Toril. And as you say, it's, you know, when they've already had a black and white flag and they've been warned, it's
I mean, it's one thing if you make a mistake, you lock up, and of course you're going to be exceeding the track limits. But if you keep doing it and you keep doing it, and it's just to carry the speed through the corner. I mean, if there's a gravel trap there, they wouldn't be doing it, would they?
No.
So Beretta, in serve his drive-through penalty. Wasn't on for points anyway, but he's near the back of the field now. And there is Antonio Fuoco then, trying to catch second place. For somebody who clearly likes motorsport, he lives in quite a good place. He lives in Maranello, so he probably had no chance of ever not being a racing driver. The Italian, 17 years of age. Part of the Ferrari Driver Academy as well, who of course have been looking after last year's champion Raffaele Marciello. So nurturing young Italian talent. And Ferrari of course have had all this success over the years, but they'd dearly love to do it with an Italian driver in F1, wouldn't they?
Oh yes.
And they haven't really had the chance to do that for a long time. Jake Dennis going well in sixth place. He's on course for his best result of the season so far. And he's every bit as quick as yesterday's winner Lucas Auer. And he's got nearly 4-second cushion back to Jordan King in 7th. Sean Galal promoted to 8th. Roy Nazani is in the points now after those drive-through penalties for everybody else. So he's 9th and Agostini in 10th place. In fact, Roy must have passed off camera Agostini because those two switched around. See Dwight Goddard having a go as they went past us to get ahead of Van der Laar. Those two are absolutely together across the start-finish line in 14th and 15th places. So Goddard recovering a bit because he was in the wars on the first lap, wasn't he, the Australian? There's Sean Galal then. Big following back home, but he's got damage to the car. Yeah, the front wing, Dave, is flapping around quite a lot.
Now he's going to try and, I would think he'll try and stick with it and hope that it doesn't, but I can't see it surviving. I mean, it really is flapping at the front of that car. I don't think that he's going to be able to hold on for the rest of the race with that like that, because if it comes off and leaves debris all across the track, or worse still, could get trapped under the front wheels.
Yeah, if there was a couple of laps to go, I think it'd be possible. We saw that with, was it Jordan King, who dragged the car home with a similar issue at Silverstone, but it's quite a long way still to go in the race.
Yeah, still got 7 laps to run. Verstappen leading from Ocon, Fuoco, Giovinazzi, Auer, Dennis is P6, then it's King P7.
Identical times, isn't there, between the top two? Yes. That gap stayed at 1.2 seconds for a number of laps now. Oh dear, in comes Sean Galal. That's a real shame. I wonder why that wing has come loose. Wasn't really right next to anybody the last time we saw him, so whether he's just studded the curbs or something like that. But anyway, it's the end of his potential point scoring finish, but a real stride forward for him in terms of performance, which he'll take. He'll be frustrated, of course, at the end of the day, but he'll take heart from that, I think. So too will the team.
Yes, I think you're right.
So that's going to put Meneses up into the points now. Gustavo Meneses, the American driver, Californian, will be up, promoted into the top 10. There is the number 19 car of Antonio Giovinazzi in 4th place. So a Dutchman leading, a French driver second, Italians third and fourth, an Austrian fifth, and a British driver in sixth place. I think you could call that international.
I think you're right.
Lucas Hauer keeping up the pressure here. He's become the lead Muka Motorsport driver now, hasn't he, in many ways, in terms of points scored, in terms of a race win. But it wouldn't necessarily have been the case had Felix Rosenquist's car just not stopped early on, because he was going well and looking for a podium.
Next to full foul of the race steward is Tatiana Calderon.
And a black and orange flag. Yeah, that was for Sean Galal, wasn't it?
Yes.
So he was has to come to the bits anyway. And couldn't have carried on.
So Tatiana Calderon then to serve drive-through penalty.
That's right. So in she comes. Adhere to the speed limit.
And this
exactly the same corner.
Same corner every time, isn't it?
So this tie-in between Joe Zeller Racing, for whom she's driving, and Muka Motorsport. She's running under the Muka Motorsport awning at Silverstone, and that car not in the typical yellow colours of Joe Zeller Racing, rather the orange colours of KFZ Tyler 24. As we look at Antonio Fuoco, still pressing on. Still trying to close this gap to the man ahead. Lucas Hauer suddenly onto the tail of Giovinazzi and goes through. Lovely move that from the Austrian. He's been building up that for a couple of laps, and that was the first chance he had, and he took it with both hands. But the Italian trying to come back at him, and coming into the background there, look, it's Jake Dennis as well. So Lucas Hauer, I think, felt like he probably needed to get on with the move, because he could see the British driver catching him up there, Dave. Yes,
you're absolutely right. He knew he'd got Jake Dennis that's very predatory. So, wow, what a move. So Giovinazzi, let's see it in replay here. Did that really well.
Yeah, set it up and pulled out the perfect opportunity. And Giovinazzi struggling now, isn't he? And Dennis is coming after him next. So Jake Dennis, not satisfied with sixth in his best finish of the season so far, wants to go one better in fifth.
There, our race leader though. Verstappen goes through. There's P2, Ocon, and what have we got? 4 laps left to run. Whether at the tail end of this race, whether Fuoco can just try and find a little bit of something extra to try and put a move on Ocon.
Well, he's going to want to take some points away from him, given that he's had a bit of an iffy weekend so far, isn't he?
Yes.
Might have been different had he already had a couple of podiums this weekend, but Antonio is a bit on the back foot now. He's lost too many points this weekend. So if he gets a chance, I think he'll go for it, rather than settling for third place. It's not just about the podium, is it? It's about taking points away from that man, Esteban Ocon, who is the championship leader. The Lotus back driver, the Lotus Junior, in second place there in the black car, coming through. So Van Amersfoort Racing, the Dutch team, lead the way with their man. Van Amersfoort, who ran Max's father, Jos Verstappen, back in his Formula Opel days before he moved into the German F3 Championship in the early 90s. They won the title with him. Lots of the staff, of course, changed since then. And there is this battle that we've got now for 5th and 6th positions. Jake Dennis has closed the gap to half a second now. Giovinazzi's pushing on in the middle of the lap, though. He's just said he's, last time around in the middle of the lap, set his personal best through that sector. And, spin for Sean Galal. That's him flashing through shot. He's already been in the pits to fix the nose cone. He exceeded the track limits there, but certainly not deliberately.
No.
And caught it well, though. Good reactions, gets it pointed in the right direction and avoids a trip into the gravel.
Last race has gone from bad to worse, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, frustrating. That is the thing with motorsport, though, isn't it? One mistake, one thing goes wrong, ruins the race. In other sports, you can get away with a moment and still win. Not so motorsport. Verstappen then leading the way, and how impressive is this, Dave, for a driver who's only in his second weekend of car racing. I know they had some winter tests. He did a bit of testing before the official Formula 3 test, but Max Verstappen, somebody who's racing karts, very competitive form of motorsport, but nothing like this. Very cool and relaxed at the front of the field, isn't he?
Yep, with a 1.3 second margin. So we've got 3 laps left, and just taking a look at the difference between Ocon and Fuoco then over the last 3 laps, and how that gap has been managed. Ocon knows that Fuoco is there. He's driving well, isn't he? But Fuoco is the one that's had the frustrating weekend.
Yeah, Antonio Fuoco, really difficult weekend, which started badly in qualifying and not really improved since then until this race. He's going to get a podium out of it, not the points he wanted. In the middle of that last lap, Jake Dennis set the fastest middle sector of anybody, and he's caught by another tenth of a second. Giovinazzi, there he is, Jake Dennis working away at the wheel in his debut season in Formula 3. Another aspiring young British driver looking to make his way through Formula 3. Many have followed that path and gone on to Formula 1 success. He's come a long way since his days of driving a 60cc cadet kart at Little Rissington. First trophy was Novice of the Year, Rookie of the Year. And he'd love to get Rookie of the Year all these seasons later in this championship. Might be a struggle that though, given that you've got the likes of Verstappen, Ocon and Fuoco also. Massively impressive. And again, Dave, top three. We're going to have the top three on the overall podium will be the same as the three drivers in the rookie podium.
Yes.
Not what we expected, but what we've come to expect in a way, given how well they've gone in the first 6 races of the season. Nobody putting a wheel wrong in that top three. Here's a wave. They're definitely watching the big screen, aren't they? You can see whenever they're on telly. Following their man, and finally, he's had a bit of luck. Well, not luck, but he's had no bad luck. And he's there in third place. 1.5 seconds covering the top three. Gap's come down a bit from first to second to 0.9. Nothing to write home about. Lucas Auer is fourth, 6 seconds back. Then Giovinazzi and Dennis having this big scrap for fifth. Jordan King a little bit on his own now in seventh, but still really good points given where he started the race in 19th.
Next to be warned about track limits is Szymkowiak down there in P16 at the moment. Only a warning, but
He should be all right though. Last lap now.
You'd think they'd heed what's happened to others throughout the course of the race, wouldn't you?
So, this is looking like a Verstappen victory. Been a while since we said that. In cars, not in karts. We said it all the time when he was in karting. Verstappen went everything going, but it's Max Verstappen, the 16-year-old, who's almost there, home and dry. His father was a German F3 champion, then went on to become the top Dutch driver ever in Formula 1. Here we go, Max Verstappen. Just a few corners from home now, looking to take his first victory. Ocon still going to lead the championship with yet another podium. Had it not been for the fueling issue in yesterday's race, it would have been 6 podiums out of 6 for the French driver. And then Fuoco back on the podium as well to pick up some useful points in third. Looks like it's how it's going to stay. Here we go. Race victory for the first time in cars at Hockenheim for Max Verstappen. Absolutely delighted. And that shows you in a day what motorsport is like. Absolute frustration and devastation when he couldn't get the car to the start line earlier on when he should have been on pole. And a few hours later, he's a race winner and absolutely delirious. Ocon second, Fuoco in third, Auer fourth. Giovinazzi did hold on to fifth from Jake Dennis, who's got his best results of the season in 6th place. Jordan King a fine drive through to 7th. Roy Nissany takes his first points of the year in 8th. Meneses 9th. Agostini also a new points finisher in 10th place. And wow, very impressive drive that from the youngster there, wasn't it, Dave?
Very much so, and it will be a very, very sweet victory and one that he will remember for a long time, won't it, for Verstappen, who has well, had to endure some troubles this weekend, that's for sure, but all right in the end as we see Ocon there, and towards the end of the race, just when we thought that maybe Fuoco would find something to take to Ocon, there was nothing there, was there? They were all so quick.
You know, Ocon banged in a couple of quick laps at the end and actually got slightly the gap down. There we go.
That's more because they're on the telly than it is.
Yeah. They've enjoyed their day here at Hockenheim. So mightily impressive stuff from these rookies. Look, he's even got the nous, Ocon, to run onto the grass to pick up a bit of weight on the tyres.
Yes.
You know, 16, 17 years old. That's not bad, is it? Really intelligent, these racing drivers. So Max Verstappen wins. He likes the third race today because that was his best result at Silverstone as well. His first podium ever came in the third race of the weekend at Silverstone after, again, a bit of misfortune earlier on in the weekend. There's the moment then that he'll watch and watch and watch again. His first victory in cars. And it was controlled, and after a couple of laps it was expected, really. It just looked like he got it under him. I think the most impressive thing, Dave, is not necessarily the speed, but the way he handled it and the way he didn't make any mistakes.
Absolutely, he didn't put a foot wrong, and that's, you know, when you've got a grid of cars behind you, you know, the pressure is on, isn't it? But the pressure didn't get to him at all. Didn't put a foot wrong throughout the entire race. So well done.
Van Amersfoort Racing get the victory. They finished 7th in the Drivers' Championship, Van Amersfoort, last year. They've won various titles, been established for a long time now, the Dutch team, since 1975. So their 40th anniversary as a team next year. Very experienced, the Dutch squad. Prema Power team, last year's championship winning team. 2nd for their man, Esteban Ocon. And then, likewise, for Antonio Fuoco, there he is, in 3rd place. And at last, I think, a smile on the face after a troubled weekend. But the chances are, Dave, with 30 races on the programme, they're all going to have their ups and downs, aren't they?
Yes, they are going to have their ups and downs, but his head hasn't dropped at all. Every time that we've been in the F3 paddock, he's always been in and around the engineers, and around the car, hasn't he? And it's a point that we made earlier that as we see the result in full, Verstappen taking the win from Esteban Ocon, Antonio Fuoco, then P3, Lucas Howard, Giovinazzi, Dennis, and then it was King, Nissany, Menezes, Agostini, and Sandro Sella there, P11. The rest of the results up there as we see the cars back now, and the drivers will be heading up to the podium momentarily.
No points for Blomqvist, of course, who was 2nd in the championship going into that race. So it means that Antonio Fuoco will move back up to 2nd place in the standings, but there'll be an even bigger gap now for this man, Esteban Ocon. Funnily enough, after the race yesterday, when he dropped from 3rd to 9th with this fueling problem, he hadn't even looked at the points. He asked me when I went to speak to him, he said, am I still leading the championship? I said, yeah, he's still leading by 3 points, but he's still leading. But maybe it's too early to be thinking about that. They just want to try and win the races, don't they?
Yes.
Well, there are 3 talents that I think we might see a lot more of in the future. Long, exciting careers ahead of them. And that's the great thing about Formula 3 racing, isn't it? You get to see these young talents, these raw talents in many ways, and the early parts of their career and the promise that they show. There's Absolutely.
Max. And so many, of course, from this championship have gone on to the very highest echelons of motorsport, Formula 1. List as long as I don't know what, isn't there, of drivers that have done it. And, of course, all of these with exactly the same ambition. That's where they want to be, but this is so much a very, very important part of that development. Here is the Drivers' Championship then, Chris.
103 points. Great weekend for Esteban Ocon. Despite what happened yesterday, he stretches out his points advantage. 67 for Fuoco. He moves up to 2nd based on countback of better results, but the win apiece for Fuoco and Blomqvist. Our 4th, good weekend for him as well. Max Verstappen mixed, but 5th place he is. Jordan King in 6th place, picked up some useful points there in that race after a difficult qualifying session. There it is, the Antonio Fuoco fan club, as it says. There's more than one of them. And here's a look at our top 3 finishers. You know it's been a good race when the top 3 are separated by just 1.7 seconds. 3rd place for Antonio Fuoco and Prema Power team, whose drivers finished 3rd and their 2nd, Esteban Ocon, coming into this race, were leading the Teams Championship by some considerable margin from Muka Motorsport as well. So it's been a really good weekend for the Italian squad. But that real important victory, that maybe monumental victory in the career of Max Verstappen, and a great win as well for the team, Van Amersfoort Racing. Dad Jos Verstappen will be absolutely delighted. Started his son karting career running him at the back of a van, looking after his engines. You always see Jos in the pits, always around the car, always taking an interest. And he knows a thing or two about driving as well, doesn't he? Not just Formula 1, but pretty useful sports car career after F1 for Jos Verstappen. So there is the trophy, which is going the way of Max Verstappen. First place, race 3, 6th ever car race, and he's a race winner. It only took him 3 races to get onto the podium. He had a 2nd place finish at Silverstone. There's Christoph Haver, the championship director of F3, welcoming his man up onto the podium. Much hotter conditions than they had for the earlier race, and way hotter than yesterday. Not that he looks that out of shape. He's fit as a fiddle, isn't he?
Yes. So up onto the top step of the podium goes Max Verstappen. Ocon and Fuoco join him.
And now it will be time to hear the national anthem. There you go, the winning anthem, the Dutch national anthem, and there's Manfred Sandbichler from Hankook Motorsport, from the tyre supplier, to provide Max Verstappen with his first victorious winning trophy. And there the presentation of the rookie trophy as well, rather than doing 2 separate podiums. It's just going to be 1 podium here because the top 3 rookies are the top 3 drivers. So Manfred Sandbichler supplies that trophy as well. Gunther Bolisch, the chairman of the ADAC, the Nordbaden region, presents the trophy to the winning team, Van Amersfoort Racing. And what a day it's been for them as well, in more ways than one, up and down. Did well to get the car sorted out to get him in the track in the first place, didn't they, Van Amersfoort? So the team boss picks up the trophy. Esteban Ocon receives his 2nd place trophy from Manfred Sandbichler, and also 2nd in the rookie division. Lost count of how many trophies Esteban's already won this season. But he's going to have to buy a house soon to fit them all in, I think. And finally, the 3rd place trophy presented to Antonio Fuoco from Gunther Bolisch, the chairman of the ADAC, and they're all happy about it. And there he gets another trophy for the rookie 3rd place that he achieved as well. There's your top 3 then at the end of the 6th race of the FIA Formula 3 European Championship campaign. Next we'll be off to France for 3 races around Pau, then the Hungaroring, then Spa, Norris Ring, Moscow, the Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, Imola, and back here to Hockenheim. There's a long way to go in this championship, and we still don't have a title favourite, although Esteban Ocon has stretched his advantage in this championship, but surely the others will start to come after him now. Been a great weekend here at Hockenheim. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage, and hope you'll join us for the rest of the season as Max gets his just desserts now from the Van Amersfoort team boss. Great stuff here from Formula 3. Some very lively races, and 3 rookies once again on the podium here at Hockenheim. We'll see what they can do for the rest of the season, starting at Pau in just a week's time in France, then to the Hungaroring at the end of the month. It's going to be a packed month for them, and we'll see how these drivers fare when we get to those rounds. Thanks for watching. Wir haben auf den Großbildleinwänden die Highlights des Rennens. Unten sehen Sie nochmal die Ankündigung.